Hi again, everyone. I'm the Cantankerous Collector. This is episode number 19. My eBay store is Death by Buffalo. That's Death by Buffalo. It's all one word. And I sell a lot of pop culture and comic book related stuff, so give it a look when you get a chance. Today's just a short video. I have this this trading card that was produced for the 1995 fleerultra Xmen set. It is a card of Marvel's Kane Marco, also known as the Juggernaut. He's a very, very cool Marvel villain. He first appeared in comics back in 1965 in the Xmen comic. So 1965, that's 10 years B.J., 10 years before Jaws. So this was one of my favorite cards in the set back then. That's almost 30 years. This is almost 30 years old. The artwork is by an artist who's done a lot of work for Marvel Comics since the 70s. His name is Bob Larkin, and it was really cool back when I was a kid to see these two-dimensional characters, you know, where we would view them in comics as two-dimensional flat art. It was really cool to see them being painted and looking almost three-dimensional. And Bob Larkin was one of the artists I remember in the late 70s whose art, he would do paintings for paperback covers and stuff. And I always liked that art. I always thought it was really cool to see these characters take on more of a three-dimensional form, you know, with highlights and shadows and stuff. So the first that I remember seeing some of these comic book characters painted and looking more three-dimensional was probably when the origin of Marvel Comics, and then the sequel to that book, The Son of Origins. When those books came out, those covers were painted by John Romita Sr., my favorite artist. And I remember, you know, seeing those for the first time and just thinking they were so cool. I couldn't afford them. I think they were like $6.95 or something. I remember seeing it like at B. Dalton or Walden Books. And I always wanted them, but I couldn't afford them. I got them now. But to see the characters rendered that way, you know, with highlight and shadow and stuff, I thought that was really cool. And so, you know, I got out of collecting comics in the early 80s, and then mid to late 80s got back into it. And you started seeing a lot more of that, a lot more of the rendered artwork. And Bob Larkin was doing a lot of great stuff. He did some really great posters in the late 80s. Joe Jusko was doing a lot of great work. And so this was one of my favorite cards in the set. And one of the reasons was it's a painting, and it shows the character kind of three-dimensional. And the rest of the set had some cool cards, but a lot of it was a 90s X-Men. I'm not real big with the 1990s comics and stuff. So anyways, this was really a cool card, and here's the original art for it, which it is so cool to have this. Of course, as you can see, it's much bigger, they paint it much larger than the card. And this is one of the things that kind of always bugged me about trading cards. I mean, I was buying baseball cards, when I was real little. And, but then when they started producing trading cards with comic art and stuff like this, like when I think it was Joe Jusko in the early 90s, did a complete set of painted artwork. And that blew me away. It was so cool. And the thing is, though, is that I always wanted to see this artwork bigger. To me, it's almost kind of a waste to see it at this size. And, sometimes now they'll produce books of the artwork so you can see all of these great paintings, in a larger format. And most of the artwork's painted about this size and reduced down. And I think, in some cases, the artist may not put as much detail in the artwork because they know it's going to be reduced so small. But in this case, man, he didn't skimp on detail. Bob Larkin did just an amazing job on this. It's really cool. I love this painting. It's so cool. I think it's acrylic. It could be gouache. I don't know much about gouache. I just like the word gouache. I like to say gouache, but I think it's acrylic. And actually, the card itself, they reproduce the color pretty good, which is usually not the case. Usually, the card art, or the color of the card art sucks. I mean, it's blown out or it's too dark or whatever. But they did pretty good on this. The blues are pretty close. His flesh tone's a lot lighter on the card than on the art, but they did a decent job. It's nice to see this without, the logos and the gold foil and all that stuff. Man, I just love this stuff. I love stuff like this. I love artwork. I love comic art, and Bob Larkin is one of my favorite artists, and it's so neat to be able to acquire something like this. But anyways, thought I would share that, and thanks again for watching. Do me a solid, hit like and subscribe for me, and I will see you soon. Thanks. Bye.